And I'm Matt Hanna,
And this is Horror Hour with the Hannas.
where we binge what goes bump in the night. That one felt appropriate for the movie we're seeing, or we saw already
This movie
today.
was...
It goes bump in the night.
It does a lot more than bump in the night, honestly.
So we saw The Bride separately. I actually saw it by myself yesterday because I was not available when you went to the early screener.
Yeah, I got to see it early, which was a lot of fun. And I'm glad that I saw it when I did and could form my opinion very solidly before the masses saw it. Because I don't know how that would have impacted how I felt about it.
Well, as we always do with new releases, we'll be spoiler-free until we say we aren't. So we will do our best to talk about this spoiler-free.
I have a lot that I can say spoiler-free, but once we go into spoilers, I have very specific plot points I'm going to be teasing apart and asking you your thoughts on.
Sounds good. Okay,
excited.
So let's get it started.
With some background?
No. I was going to just if you liked it or not.
I liked it.
You liked it?
Yeah.
You want to know what I thought?
You loved it.
Officer, lock me up. I'm the Bride stan right now. The only one.
Shocked no one.
If I'm the Bride stan out there, supposedly.
Well, after how much you liked him, I knew you were going to love this movie. Not that it's like the same, but I think they both bring this like huge campy energy to them. And I think this has a lot of things individually that you like. So I thought combined you would really enjoy it.
It's cracking me up that people dislike this so much. And I swear this is the epitome of like form an opinion before a YouTuber gives it to you. And I feel like really mean because a lot of people I like did not like this movie. And I'm over here being like, this is awesome. This is my favorite movie I've seen so far this year.
Most of the people that I follow on Letterboxd, I think besides one, maybe two, the other like 8 to 10 people that I follow whose opinion matters to me all gave it roughly what I gave it.
Okay.
So I feel pretty valid in how I feel.
It has an average of a 3-star on Letterboxd, and I just feel like,
down.
In the wise words of Cosmonaut Marcus, The Bride is not bad. You guys are just boring.
I think that is partially true, but I do think the movie is an extreme hot mess. But we'll get into that.
I didn't say it wasn't.
Yeah,
I also loved it for what it was.
A massive mess.
No, we'll get into it.
And you are a hot mess of a person,
I
so it
do
tracks.
think people too often on their Letterboxd try to
Make a joke.
rate. Well, yeah, I hate the way people make jokes on Letterboxd. Pisses me off. Even though I've definitely done it, I just hate it because everyone's not funny. But the other thing I hate is I think people too often feel pressured into giving things scores because it doesn't fit other 5-star movies of theirs. And I don't operate like that. I know and I'm not giving this movie 5 stars, but I know what a 5-star is based on my feeling and my heart. I'm not one movie can be 5 stars and be, well, I mean, Superbad for me is 5 stars. The Godfather is also 5 stars. Very, very different movies in form and function.
Yeah.
Right? And I feel like people might watch a movie like Superbad and be like, well, it can't be on the same level as The Godfather. That's my, film bro example. That movie is great, though. And I'm not like that. I'm elevated, is what I'm saying. I'm better than everybody because I'm willing to see a hot mess of a movie and be like, you know what? 5 stars. So
I think for me, it's taken me time to kind of realize, but I think like a movie such as Mission Impossible Fallout. Super
5-star
bad.
movie.
Those are 5-star movies, but they're so incredibly different than some of the other 5-star movies.
But I think a lot of
watching.
people struggle to give that a 5-star because it's not
so
art.
different, and some of them are like much more popcorn.
Definitely.
But just because it's a popcorn film that appeals to the masses and isn't maybe like douchey art, cinema, if you will,
all of Mission Impossible cinema.
it doesn't mean that it can't be a very perfect version of what that movie is trying to do.
Yeah, and that can be a 5-star. My whole thing is I think maybe people are being too influenced by other people on Letterboxd and feel that they need to have a refined palette on there. And you know what? I'm that douchebag sometimes too. And I hate things that are unnecessarily. So everyone, I know I'm being a complete hypocrite. And I don't care. I've lived by that as a hater of overly hating and overly loving things. And everyone's entitled to their wrong opinion.
You do have very bold swings.
And I think that's part of the fun here. That's the character I play. Except this isn't a character.
No,
this is
you.
me.
That's just you.
Me being mean to people that I like in the audience is kind of a character. But I would never
Is it?
Yeah, no, it's definitely. I like to be mean to people about movies, but like it's all in love.
It is funny.
Yeah, it's more of a joke. Anyway,
we love to tell people their opinion is wrong because it's funny. But
some people don't like that.
It's like we all know what an opinion is. It's an opinion. They can be different. An opinion in effect is different. But I love to tell people their opinion is wrong. Yeah. And I've told you that on this podcast.
Yeah,
so I also
just like to be silly. Either way, what I'm trying to say is take me away. Take me to the mental institute or to jail, wherever I got to go for being a bride lover. My hands are out. Cuff me, officer.
And he's holding his hands out. I think you're being a ham. I don't think you need to go anywhere. You're allowed to like what you like. But you skipped the whole intro.
Oh, I know. So I just needed to say.
I know. You had so much energy. You needed to get it out.
Now, yeah, I had to get it out. So that's if people want to know if they need to see it or not, they can just pause now and go see it after what I said.
Holy hell. So, okay, well, I have a lot of thoughts. And you didn't really let me talk about them. So let's move forward.
Go ahead. Let's go. Like, you give us the background.
Okay, so the film is written and directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal. It's obviously based on Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's novel, but also the 1935 film Bride of Frankenstein, Mel Brooks' Young Frankenstein, etc. It's definitely paying homage to a lot of things. It's starring Jessie Buckley and Christian Bale, but it also features Peter Sarsgaard, Annette Bening, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Penelope Cruz. So, as we mentioned, very obviously inspired by many, many things. I think it's very obviously based on Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein. That's so profoundly obvious. I think people who might not have seen it could end up missing some of the Young Frankenstein references. Specifically, if you're not familiar with the song Putting on the Ritz, I think you would totally miss what that scene is doing. But there is a really funny scene where they are dancing together to Putting on the Ritz from the musical Young Frankenstein.
Well, the song existed before Young Frankenstein, but yes.
Okay, but it's in Young Frankenstein.
It's in the movie, not the musical.
It's in both.
Yeah, it's in both. Yeah. No, sorry
I said musical because I've only seen the musical. I haven't actually seen the movie, but I know the song. At the end of the song, if you don't pick up that the song is the song, the end, Christian Bale yells Putting on the Ritz in the same manner that the character did in the movie, which is very, very funny. So there's a lot of like moments like that pop up that, in my opinion, were a lot of fun, but I think might rub people the wrong way. So, some more background.
Boring people.
Perhaps. Some more background. Maggie Gyllenhaal and Jessie Buckley have worked together before. Maggie Gyllenhaal's directorial debut for a feature film was for The Lost Daughter, which
we've both seen.
Starred Jessie Buckley. And
I totally forgot that was her playing the young version of, I can't think of her name.
Yes.
Yeah. Other famous actress.
Olivia Colman.
Yes, love her.
And Jessie Buckley got her first Oscar nom from that movie. So it's no surprise to me that she was very motivated to come back and work with Maggie again. I think also if you look at Jessie Buckley's filmography, she has clearly made a priority to work with a lot of female directors, which works, like it makes sense with her character as a person to want to work with female directors, but then also when you put in context what this movie's doing. I think it all combines in a really interesting way.
Girlie's also having a moment.
It's like very meta.
It's going to be awesome when she's up for an Oscar for this movie next year.
Well, that's not happening. Some people thought she was terrible, but newsflash, she wasn't. She was great. One more background fact that I will go through right now. Maybe we'll go through a little more later, TBD. This movie was originally much more violent, allegedly.
Okay.
So for test screenings, people had a negative reaction to some scenes involving sexual violence and a particular moment where Frank was licking black vomit off the bride's neck.
He kind of already did that in the movie.
Well, things had to be cut down because people did not like it.
Well, some people just don't have taste. No, I'm kidding. I think that the sexual violence was implied enough in the movie and didn't need to be any more explicit.
I agree. I think the sexual violence I would not be any more explicit with. Licking vomit, doing some sexy...
It wasn't exactly vomit. Saying it like that's gross.
I know it really is. But doing some like sexy shit, I don't care. Do whatever fetishy shit you want to do, bro.
I did think, like I said, there is like some sexual violence in this or some implications of sexual assault or the beginnings of what would be assault. And I think they're handled well. I think that they are gross and scary, and they didn't need to be any more than that. So
because that's real life is gross and scary. Yeah, I don't think it needed to be any more explicit. So if that was one of the things that was toned down, I agree with that decision, and I'm glad that they did the test screening then in that particular case.
Yeah, makes sense.
So we asked, because this movie has Jake Gyllenhaal and it's directed by his older sister, Maggie, we asked our followers on social media, what actor-sibling duo is your favorite? What would yours be?
Never mind, I can't say that one. You know what I'll say? I like the Afflecks.
I knew you were going to say that.
Casey and Ben.
I do like them.
I was going to say I can't say it because Casey's got canceled. But you know what? He's a good actor.
He's a really good actor. I think
Ben's a good director. And sometimes a good actor.
Absolutely incredible in Manchester by the Sea. So, sorry. Heather J. Stort said, the Gyllenhaals.
Okay.
I hope you liked The Bride, Heather. One of our followers, Lane, said that she likes the Culkin brothers.
Oh, good
Macaulay
pick.
And Kieran.
Yeah.
Brenner Action said the Hudsons. And Steinmetz Ethan said Smoke and Stack. Which is really funny.
Yeah, I don't know if that one counts, but we'll give it to you.
I forgot to post it on Blue Sky, so that's all of the responses we got. Funny. But that's okay.
Hashtag professional. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. What else we got?
I think we can get into more thoughts.
Yeah, so I gave you my initial love for the film.
Yeah.
So do you want to say some more?
Yeah. Okay. So I think that this movie is visually stunning. I think it's beautiful looking. It has a lot of style. It has really striking lighting choices. It has some really beautiful, like, intimate close-up shots. I think the real star of this movie is the direction and cinematography.
Facts. And Jessie Buckley.
Well, to follow that, Jessie Buckley is amazing throughout.
She's really, really good.
I don't know if the film works if you don't cast Jessie Buckley.
I think I completely agree. I was going to shout out, direction is great. This movie looks like a movie, which has been a complaint of mine. When you hear me say it, like, this has got some grain, it's got some texture. Mm-hmm. It's lit immaculately and has, like, a really nice look. It's better looking than Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, significantly.
I agree 100,000%.
Yeah.
I think it's stunning looking. I think it has a lot of style too, and like the production design, which adds obviously to visually why it's so appealing. I think the choice to set it in this time period that it is set in is interesting. I don't know if that's what I would have done, but I think all tied together, including the visuals, is really appealing.
Oh, I think the time period's genius.
I think it's a lot of fun. And I don't know this particular story that they're trying to tell obviously does not work in a different time frame. It's very specific.
You shouted out cinematography, directing, and everything. I think we also need to give shout out to costume and makeup. Yeah, it is so good. I feel like a lot of the complaints I had about Jacob Elordi's Frank was
he's blue.
Him being blue and hot is done so well with Christian Bale by him actually being scary looking.
Well, I think obviously there's a big difference in the character, right? Like, Jacob Elordi is a fetus monster. He is a baby. And Jacob Elordi is a baby compared to Christian Bale. I do not love the design overall, and I don't like that he's blue, but I do think there is an inherent difference in that we are now having, like, a middle-aged man play the role in this movie, and the character is set in a very, very different point in his life. But all that being said, all of that justification for GDT's design, I agree wholeheartedly. I think Christian Bale looks fucking great. He looks weathered. He looks like he's been through some shit. He looks stitched together. He looks disgusting. He looks like he's pulled on those stitches.
Which is how he's supposed to look.
Yes.
And that, I will remind everyone for the Frankenstein episode, I read Frankenstein within the past year, Mary Shelley's novel, and I liked it a lot. And so there are things that I appreciate being paid homage to. And while this both pays homage to the original movie in design, I think it also does the grossness and ugliness that he's supposed to have, or really like monstrous look he's supposed to have in the book. He still looks like Christian Bale a little bit because I think they want us to like him. And if he looked like how he's supposed to in the book, I think people would not. But he's not Frieza from Dragon Ball Z like how Jacob Elordi was.
I also think this character's been around for over 100 years. Like, he's probably figured out how to fit in slightly better and look more like a person.
And the hat so good.
I think his entire look, not just the makeup and whatnot, is great. Like the costuming that they have him wear is really appealing. I think it's a really fun outfit.
Yeah, and he's supposed to look like a corpse. He's supposed to look like body parts stitched together, which he does. And the reason the doctor did that in the book is because it was going to be easier for him to stitch muscle and things better together if they were bigger. That was the thought in the book. I will say, I don't think it's a spoiler. It's very fun that this is it's supposed to be a direct sequel to the book, in my opinion. That's how I'm reading it, which is really neat because I don't think we've had that before.
I think it's mostly a direct sequel, but I'm a little confused on that.
Well, we can talk about that, but I more mean like we've gotten Hollywood's, we'll call it Hollywood's, but like Universal's Frankenstein from the 30s, Bride of Frankenstein. Then we've had plenty of other Frankenstein remakes, like the one your boy from Harry Potter did. Can't think of his name.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He directed and starred as Frankenstein in a Frankenstein movie.
Oh, Kenneth Branagh and Robert De Niro.
He's been in so much other stuff. I'm sorry for saying boy from Harry Potter.
Yeah, that's a crazy thing to say.
And we've had like GDTs, but we've never had a sequel to the book as a movie. It almost feels kind of like how Dr. Sleep was a sequel to The Shining.
I think it is spiritually a sequel to the book, but not a direct sequel.
Of course not, but it's like an interesting idea.
It's a very interesting idea.
To go for that and be like, no, my Frankenstein from the book exists.
Because I would argue the Bride of Frankenstein movie is also...
That's a sequel to the Frankenstein movie.
Yeah, but it also feels like a sequel to the book because it is a sequel to
You watched it. I haven't seen it, so.
Yeah, I didn't pay the best attention to be fair.
Okay. Well, that was my whole point. But okay, we can keep moving.
I also think Jessie Buckley, since we were talking about character design, she looks great. She looks awesome.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, this is a great design. I think it's really fun.
What did you think of the ink stain?
It was great. It's just a great little thing to separate her from everything else and for then the other people to copy. I really works for me. It's just really cool makeup. It's like creating a cartoon character. It's like creating an anime character. Right? You want them to stand out in some way. And to do that helps. Also, like the leg brace is a great touch. The outfit colors, the red boots. Yeah.
I think she looks great without looking deranged.
Definitely. And they're two silhouettes. Ooh, they're so good.
They're so good. So I have all of that praise. There's a lot that I liked. I also really like... Normally, I'm not the type that would love a random dance sequence. In fact, I've been known to shit on that. Like the sequence in Shape of Water, I took a dump on.
Boo,
I hate it in different shows when that happens, when they do a random musical number out of nowhere. I'm like, why are we doing this? It works really well here, but that I think is because it is ingrained in the plot and the themes in a way that I think works very well, and I think those numbers are a lot of fun, and it matches the energy. This movie is campy. It feels campy. It feels big and bold and nuts. It
is a little maximalist, which you don't like.
I know, but I think it's very, very clear to me that that's what it was going for the entire time. So I bought in immediately, which helped. It's
like something different from camp, though. Maybe pulp is the right word. I've used that before. Whatever. We can use whatever words we want. But you know what I mean? It's like I don't exactly describe it as campy, but I do think it is. There's something else going on here. Secret third thing.
A secret third thing. All that said, this movie takes a lot of really crazy swings.
And it hits all of them out of the park.
And some of them simply don't work at all. And I feel like
kidding.
The film is really, really cluttered. So when I was trying to process it, I had to break it down into like many different points beyond the general, he wants a partner and brings a woman to life. There is so much more happening that I'm obviously not going to spoil right now because I want people to go see the movie and enjoy it and appreciate what it's doing.
We definitely recommend it is what we're saying.
But...
Right, you agree. You want people to go see this in theaters, go pay for it.
Can I get there?
Maybe? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, I think people should go pay for it. I think it deserves to be seen on a big screen. It's beautiful. It sounds great. All of those things. Yes. If I think a movie is beautiful, I think you should pay to see it. But yeah, plot-wise, there are things that are going to piss people the fuck off. There are things that don't connect. But overall, my review in one summary is, overall, it's a bold, beautifully crafted film that doesn't always connect, but I still love the big swings and commitment to the vision, as well as the beautiful theming.
Yeah. I would say, and without saying spoilers, I have issues with some stuff. I think that this has some actually pretty interesting and complex themes that I want to get into when we get to themes. I think it gets a little heavy-handed with them and honestly backpedals on a couple of its more complex themes to go with a simpler answer, and that frustrates me. Mm-hmm. However, I was thinking about this after and today. I believe there is a 5-star movie here under a couple layers.
Yeah.
And like, I think a couple more edits in the editing room, a couple maybe change dialogue, and just like maybe a different casting for one character would maybe get this to a 5-star movie. I really do believe there is something here. And maybe it could just be in the edit. And it's almost like I think Maggie started having a little too much fun and being like, this would be silly, and added it. And, you know, I still kind of love it for that. But that's like huge praise for me to say, though, is like there is the makings of a 5-star movie are here.
I completely agree. I just think the script needed to be passed through a few more times by someone that's not Maggie.
Yeah, probably. And my question is, could have that just been fixed in the edit even? Maybe. So.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Anything else we want to say?
I feel... Oh, I did want to say one more thing. Real quick.
Yep.
I think it's really funny that we got this movie in the timing that we did in a post-GDT's Frankenstein world. I think it's real fun to have an entire story about Frank wanting a partner when that didn't come up almost at all in Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein.
Which is a significant part of the book.
Yes.
And like a significant part of the plot that motivates him.
I think GDT's Frankenstein almost entirely gets rid of the feminist narrative, and this movie latches on to that.
Yeah, definitely. I said it, and people are going to get so mad at me, but I did read the book recently, so I have the authority, that I felt that this movie found the themes and the spirit of the novel better than any other Frankenstein movie I've seen. So, I don't think that's hard to do. But yeah, you think it might be true?
I think it might be true.
Okay. It at least definitely did more than GDT's. And it's a better looking movie, as I already said. So,
in my opinion, yes. So, do we want to enter the spoiler zone?
Let's spoiler zone now.
Now we're entering the spoiler zone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the spoiler zone. After this point, you're going to hear some things that you might not want to hear.
Okay, so you want to get into 15-second summaries?
I'm scared.
Are you going first? I threw it on you.
Why would you?
I said it first. Are you ready?
Why do to me?
You'll be fine. You ready? Okay. Go.
Mary Shelley possesses a girl who then dies, who is then made into Frank's bride, and then they start killing people, and then there's a detective looking after that, and then there's a copycat killer, feminist revolution.
That's already 15 seconds.
And then there's a bunch of dancing, and then there's agency for women, but maybe for a second there's not, but then there is, and then there's...
All right,
this movie's crazy. I don't think you can realistically summarize this movie in under 15 seconds.
I think I can.
I don't think you can.
Here, I closed your phone. Pull the timer back up.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, go ahead. Yeah, so Mary Shelley gets her ghost possesses someone to write the sequel within her literary world because people didn't understand the themes of her book very well. So she pulls a Frank Herbert and does a Dune Messiah, except with her sequel to Frankenstein, to explain the themes to everybody that was dumb.
Okay, but that doesn't explain.
Yeah, that explains
any
everything.
Single part of the movie besides the intro to the movie.
Well, and what happens in the movie. Okay, let me read this whole plot description, which is not as actually as insane as I thought it was. Are you ready?
Sure.
Oh, that's for a different movie. Okay. So, starting now, speaking from the afterlife, Mary Shelley says she has a story she wanted to tell after Frankenstein, but could not due to her death. To tell it, she possesses Ida, a woman living in 1936 Chicago, who in her trance proceeds to discuss the criminal activities of crime boss Lupino. Lupino's henchmen Clyde and James throw her down the stairs, killing her. Elsewhere in Chicago, Frankenstein's monster arrives at the house of scientist Dr. Euphornius. Having read about Euphornius' work on reanimation, he enlists her to create a companion for him. Euphornius and Frank choose Ida's corpse and successfully revive her, but she loses her memory in the process. Frank takes advantage of this and states that she is his bride and lost her memory in an accident, which she accepts. Frank and the bride go to a cinema to see a movie featuring Frank's favorite actor, Ronnie Reed, and then they go to a dance in a club. As they leave, two men assault the bride, and Frank kills them defending her. He tells the bride to leave him, but she decides to live life as a runaway with him. They stow away in a train to New York City. Meanwhile, Detective Jake Wiles and his assistant Myrna Mallory investigate the murders and eventually follow them to New York. Frank and the bride cause chaos at a movie theater and then seek refuge at a high-class party. Frank runs into Ronnie Reed and expresses his adoration, but is dismissed. Detective Wiles and the police arrive at the party, but fall back when the bride briefly holds Reed at gunpoint. Wiles recognizes her real identity as an Ida. The bride and Frank kill a police officer and manage to escape the city. The bride and Frank's crime spree becomes well publicized, and Lupino recognizes her in a newspaper. He executes James for failing to kill her at the beginning of the movie and dispatches Clyde to kill her again. Meanwhile, Mallory makes a connection between reports of sightings and the pair in cities where Reed's films were set. This prompts Mallory and Wiles to travel to Niagara Falls, where they find the couple. Wiles confronts the bride and informs her of her true identity as Ida. And as Frank and the bride flee, Frank admits that he was deceptive towards her in the beginning and conveys that he actually did not know who she was before she died. Wiles explains to Mallory that he and Ida were planning to take down Lupino and expresses guilt that his inaction led to her death. He decides to retire and promotes Mallory as his replacement. Mallory tracks down Frank and the bride to a drive-in theater in Illinois. Frank apologizes for lying about their past and asks the bride to marry him. She forgives him, but responds by saying she would prefer not to, as she is not anyone's but her own. They then laugh together, but in that moment, Clyde fatally shoots Frank in the head. The bride escapes with Frank's body and returns to Euphornius' laboratory. The police and Clyde surround them, and Clyde shoots the bride, causing the cops to all fire and kill her in a guns blaze massacre. Mallory orders the police to search for Clyde, leaving Euphornius with the bride and Frank's corpses to do what they wish. Euphornius' assistant says they should sleep, but Euphornius replies, "I would prefer not to," and they attempt to revive the couple. Outside, the police arrest Clyde for killing the bride and Frank. Mallory sees bright lights shine from the laboratory, and inside the couple, or the revived couples, begin to hold hands. And that's the end of our movie.
Crazy.
And then a couple other women that were inspired by her go and kill the mob boss. Or, well, they hold him hostage. Probably going to cut his tongue out. So, that is a wild ass movie.
It's a lot. That's for
that
sure.
I like to. All right, let's. What do you have a framework you want to talk about to start?
So we mentioned that this movie takes a lot of swings that don't always connect, and that it's crazy. So I wanted to kind of break down the craziest plot elements that I don't know if they all go together.
Sure.
And talk about it a little.
Is the very first one Mary Shelley possession?
Yes.
Okay. I thought it was weird, but at first, and this movie's actually grown on me. Like I was worried that I would walk away from this and feel like not as good about it. I actually like it more. I think you watched the original Bride of Frankenstein, and tell us how that movie begins.
It involves a scene with Mary and Percy Shelley, along with Lord Byron, talking, and she mentions that she has more to the story. And so she starts to narrate, and then it kind of transitions into movie.
There you go. So I think that's a little bit of her inspiration.
That's
I would
100,000% the inspiration.
I also think part of it is that the original Frankenstein is a frame story, and so this is kind of a frame story light by doing that. But the way I read this, and what's kind of funny is since Frank is real in this world, this is her literary world that she's affecting, which is like why we're able to break into dance montages and they show up on TV screens or movie screens. So this is like she's beyond the dead infecting her literary world where she created Frank and he lives, which is very similar to a movie that Maggie Gyllenhaal's in called Stranger Than Fiction. Yeah, I was about to say, do you remember it? With Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, wow, wait a second, is this Stranger Than Fiction? Where she from beyond the dead is infecting her own world that she created. And I thought that was really interesting and cool, which is why it is a little pulpy or campy, because this is the literary world of the book, Frankenstein.
I think the issue is that doesn't feel clear at all. I think it's a nice thought. Because
How else would Frank exist? But okay, go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted.
Why couldn't it exist in the world of a movie? It's a movie. Why can't Frank exist? But my notes is this movie implying Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein, but Victor and the creature were also real people.
Oh, no, I didn't think that. I think that this is the world of Frankenstein that she's infecting.
Well, yes,
possessing.
You explained this, but I don't think that it's very clear what the fuck is happening.
Yeah, I don't think it's clear. That's just what I choose to like.
Yeah, I think that is a better interpretation than any that I've heard or seen, because I haven't really seen any.
Huh. I'm just a genius, I guess. Give me a PhD right now.
So, how do you feel about the actual possession piece?
I love it because I think it ties into the complex themes later, where a lot of this is about how the patriarchy is bad for women and how women are kind of expected to be in a role and be controlled by people. But I don't think it's often talked about enough how women also continue to like build patriarchy and like help it inadvertently. So in this situation, Mary is trying to control this person to be hers. And so she is also, benefiting from this and trying to control. And it's not until she only lets her go when the bride finally decides to take on her own name and she's going to be her own person. And I thought that was kind of interesting. Did you read it that way at all? Or no?
I think that is a very fair read. I just think that the actual act of the possession muddles the film greatly. I think it is bizarre as fuck. I think Ida can be a dead girl that they bring back to life, and they could have everything moving forward without her all of a sudden being like, I'm British, and I'm talking...
No, I liked it. I understand the complaint. I think I was reading it very much from the perspective of, like, everyone's trying to control this girl, and she just wants to control herself. And I do think Mary does want her to eventually control herself, but she has, like, thrown herself into this woman's life as well.
I just think that everything that it might be trying to do there, because the movie is way too crowded, it does not land.
Okay. It landed for me, but I understand the complaints. I also just enjoyed that it allowed Jessie Buckley to be playing two characters with inside one body.
I think that's crazy. I think it's really cool and really impressive. I just found that any time that she channeled Mary Shelley to be extremely annoying. It's like, can you stop using synonyms in a British accent at a loud volume? Please stop.
Yeah, that was a swing I'm just saying it was a swing I liked. Or maybe I just justified it to myself.
And I'm happy that you liked it.
Yep.
My next point, the detective subplot. So they end up going full Bonnie and Clyde, going around murdering people, committing crimes, what have you. So obviously there are detectives trying to figure out where they are, arrest them, etc., etc. The detectives are Peter Sarsgaard and Penelope Cruz, which is an interesting pairing.
Yeah, Penelope was the person I was thinking about replacing. I don't think she's very good in this movie.
I don't think Peter Sarsgaard is very good in this movie. So as a duo...
Maybe both of them.
I think the issue is if it's just detectives on the case trying to solve. I think a detective story is fun, so I don't take any inherent issue with that. Where I start to take an issue is the feminism thing with the detective subplot, where Penelope Cruz is the one actually doing most of the investigating but gets no credit for it because she's a woman.
This is where I felt it got a little...
actively dismissed constantly, and then he fucks up but she doesn't, so then he's like, you're the detective now, but then she still looked past completely. I just don't think we need her.
This part felt heavy-handed to me. However, there were a few moments that worked, like when she couldn't get anyone's attention, so she finally just went to the secretary, who was also a woman, and was able to get the answer immediately and walked out. Like,
okay,
I
that
thought
part was cute. I thought that was fun.
And works. I think this is where the overall narrative gets heavy-handed, though, and what I was kind of saying earlier is, like, maybe we should have left some of this on the cutting room floor.
Yep.
However, the entire Skarsgård subplot about how he was working with these prostitutes that were getting information.
Informants for the mob.
For the mob, and then just gave up on it, but then had sex with Ida anyway, like, and then didn't do anything about it. I really like that from the point of about, you know, dismantling the patriarchy is like this guy.
He's another person who has used and abused her.
And used and abused her. And at least he has some semblance of remorse. And he literally quits his job because he's like, I'm not deserving of this. And I thought that was interesting.
The issue there is that his performance sucks when he is admitting what happened.
He's playing the exact same role he played in the Batman, which is funny.
Why do I not remember him?
He's the one that gets blown up. He gets the thing on his neck.
Oh, what the hell?
Yeah, Gail Coulson.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
Peter.
same. He's doing the exact same role.
I like him
in the Batman.
Before that scene. I thought he was pretty charismatic. I thought he was really fun when they were just solving a mystery. Mm-hmm. But then when he has to actually do something, I'm like, this is a nepotism hire for sure, Maggie. Well, because they are married. I was like, why are we doing this? Get out of here.
I get the complaint. I think I was distracted by being so disgusted that he like set this whole thing up, and then when they were like, drop it, and she came to him and was like, no, we can't drop this. All these women have been killed and had their tongues cut out by this guy, and he just like has sex with her and then still doesn't do anything. I was like so angry that I think looked past his acting.
I couldn't get angry because the acting was so bad. I couldn't.
Interesting. So we had the opposite experience.
I couldn't connect with what he was even saying or doing.
Yeah.
I was just so irked. And I don't think there's anything that you can do to redeem yourself from that. So him quitting doesn't feel like fair punishment to me.
Oh, no, agreed. I do think at the end he is part of the group that goes after the mob boss finally. So maybe that's part of it. But yeah, I don't think he is supposed to be fully redeemed.
No, I don't think so.
He's on a step 2 redemption is what I would say. And he has gone against and is trying to dismantle the patriarchy, in my opinion, by going after this guy who's like a representation of the patriarchy.
But you shouldn't. I don't think that fully connects for me either, because he's only doing that because he was found out, basically. He felt guilty. He's not genuinely choosing this of his own volition. And I think agency matters a lot.
He has agency at the end. He chooses to go after that mob boss with the women. And he's like with the rioters. He goes after and like does vigilante justice.
Yeah, but I think he only is put into that position because he's essentially forced into it because he's found out. I don't think he's choosing this.
You don't think so?
Path for
I'm seeing this differently, so we don't have to argue about it. But that's fine. I'm not understanding. So
okay.
All right, get to your next one.
Well, since you mentioned it, the copycat killer feminist revolution thing.
This was another spot that I found to be a slightly heavy-handed. However. Then at the end, when they do go after this guy, I'm like, oh, I kind of like this part. Like, I like that they're doing vigilante justice against a guy who has continued to kill women and has continued to do violence against women. I'm like, hell yeah, girls, like, get him. I think the whole brain attack thing in the middle, though, I was like a little lost on that.
I was like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah. I think it's cool that she's inspiring women to like go against, because she basically talks about how like women are being oppressed and how women are constantly being killed and assaulted by this gang and by these men, and nobody does anything about it, but we can send 40 cops to go blow her away in the room and shoot first, ask questions later. Like, I like what they're saying there.
Yes,
I felt agree. That it was a little muddled with the women dressing like her and being inspired. Like, it felt like there was like a scene missing, kind of.
I agree. I feel like it takes kind of not a radical jump there, but
a little bit
certainly
of a
one
leap.
And I do think it's messy. It's just
Definitely.
so messy.
It's messy,
it's
but then I like what it's saying about these women doing like vigilante justice against their abusers, and so I'm just like, I
support that. Yeah, that's cool. But.
And so like I just think it could have been a little cleaner, but like that was kind of my point earlier about I feel like all the pieces are there. It's just a couple things needed to be cleaned up.
I think if you keep the detective subplot and you can keep the mob boss story, which therefore then you would end up keeping the feminist revolution copycat killer part of sorts. Think you have to get rid of the Mary Shelley possession.
No.
Of those three things, if you remove one, the one that makes the most sense
is the Mary Shelley possession.
Yes.
That's fine. I'm out on that though.
I just think there's too many ideas shoved in there.
Might be.
My last thing is the whole plot points with the movies and dancing. I actually love those scenes. So I'm not going to say remove them because I loved them. I had a lot of fun with that. I just love that Christian Bale gets like Christian Bale, Frank gets really anxious and is like having a panic attack, and she's like, I know what you need, and takes him to the movies.
He just like me for real.
I know. I was like, yes, queen, me too. Yeah. But I think when you're already having this movie about all this feminist, heavy-handed feminist stuff, to then also have this kind of heavy-handed, look at how beautiful art and movies are for the soul.
I have a different read on that.
It feels like a huge addition.
I have a completely different read on that.
What part of the read is different?
I see the films he's watching. I pull everything back to this patriarchy feminism narrative. The films he's watching is the man he believes he needs to be and like should be, and he is going after something unobtainable for him, which is just continuing to impress like the patriarchy on her and the like other women, not him in particular.
I don't see that as any part of the stories that he's watching, though.
It's not about the stories he's watching. It's about the character of Ronnie Reed, right? Like Ronnie's going to get married in Niagara Falls and has this whole thing with the woman there. And he is like, I need to have a woman in my life. I need to have this possession almost. And he's like, I want to be this type of man. And then he meets Ronnie. He's a piece of shit. Like, I think he's seeing a world that is fake, that is again, in movies we know have like can prop up this patriarchy as well. And so he's seeing something that he wants to obtain that isn't actually good for him to obtain. And what he ends up doing is he does end up getting what he wants at the end, because he rejects the patriarchy with the moment where she says, no, I'm not going to marry you. And he starts laughing, realizing like, I didn't want someone to be with me because they were forced to.
I want you to want to be with me.
And she did.
And I want to be with you.
And even
not just
though,
because you were made for me, but because I like you.
Throughout the movie, Frank is doing these normal, again, patriarchy things. I'm going to say that word a lot, so I wish I had a better word for it. There's this normal thing where he's trying to be, oh, you're my bride and you're this because you wouldn't want to be with me otherwise, and is falling into that trap. He does actually fall in love with who she becomes, though. And then he allows her to be herself and who she wants and isn't upset about that. He rejects the notion of you need to be my bride. He's like, I just want to be with you for you. And that's why I love it. And they laugh together when she says, I would prefer not to, which I fucking love. And then he gets shot in the head. Just goes against it. And I was like literally going to scream in the theater. And so that's my read on the whole movie things, is he's trying to become this thing that he doesn't need to be.
Okay, but I also think yes, I like this read. I think that's probably along the lines of where Maggie Gyllenhaal's
Maggie, call into the show.
Need for that narrative comes from.
Tell me if I'm right.
However, I think the move that has a dual purpose, and I think it's also this like appreciate art as
escapism,
coping,
right?
Escapism.
I think that's probably also true.
And like as a community coming together to appreciate art, I think there's a lot of that nature. Mm-hmm. I mean, the whole movie is about going to the cinema.
Definitely.
And appreciating art together. And Maggie has said that in interviews.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't watched her interviews. That's cool though. I like that.
I only watched one, and it wasn't even of Maggie, it was of Jake, and it's only because it came up on my socials, and he said something, and he said, and that was for Maggie because she forgot to say that last night.
Oh, that's funny.
So I'm counting it as Maggie's interview.
That's fine. But I can see that read as well. I didn't read anything up on it. This was kind of just off of my dome.
I didn't read up on it either. That just happened to come up. But I picked up on that piece. I just think that then it's doing a lot. It's doing a lot of things.
Okay.
And again, I just think that of those 4 big plot points, that's not just he makes a woman. I think you can't have all of them. I think you can at max have 3, preferably. I don't know, 2.
Boring. No, I'm kidding. You're fine.
I just think it's so.
To be honest, I just think if they and I get into if they remove some of the more heavy-handed stuff, I think this would have all worked. But yeah, okay. Any other ones we want to talk about?
Oh, I did want to add with that when we talk about and think about the movies, that this film does have a lot of references to classic Hollywood crime films. This is definitely like paying homage to that genre quite a bit. Ida is a character, so Ida is a reference to something as well as the gangster character Lupino. Ida Lupino was one of the first female directors in Hollywood who directed some famous noir. And then Penelope Cruz's character is Myrna Malloy, which is probably a reference to Myrna Loy, who was...
I definitely called her Mallory earlier. It was Malloy. My bad.
Yeah. Myrna Malloy. And then that's a reference most likely to Myrna Loy, who was in another crime film, who's investigating a murder case with her husband. And then there's another character, Clyde. Obviously, that's Bonnie and Clyde. So there is just so much that this movie is doing to also pay homage to cinema of before. Mm-hmm. So again, this movie is just so much about celebrating cinema.
Sure. Yeah, I like it.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. Had to get that out there. I guess that's a theme which we've obviously talked about a little bit, the feminism theme and we'll elaborate. But before we get to that, I wanted to throw out a few more things that I liked or didn't like, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's fine. I think I've hit most of mine outside of themes.
So we talked about how the detectives' performances don't hit. How did you feel about Annette Bening as the scientist?
I liked her.
There were scenes where I was like, meh. And then there were scenes where I was like, hell yeah, queen.
Very much served her purpose, and I love the I would prefer not to, and bringing them back to life at the end.
I loved her bringing them back to life at the end. I was like, yes, queen, do that. How did you...
And the use of Monster Mash. I was like, is this Monster Mash? I was like, that's so ridiculous. And then I was like, you know what, I'm in. It worked.
How did you feel about Christian Bale? Because we really didn't talk about him at all.
I have said before that I'm not always a huge fan of him. I thought he worked really well in this film. I loved his look. I liked his performance.
Remind everyone at home what Christian Bale you don't like.
Batman.
Yeah.
I don't like him as Batman. I like the movies he's in. I'm Batman. Yeah, I don't love his performance in those. I do like him in American Psycho a lot.
He's amazing in American Psycho. Did you notice at all that he occasionally slipped into a less obnoxious Batman voice?
Probably.
He did, I think, a million different voices or accents in this movie.
Man, I was having too much fun to notice, apparently.
After the movie, you told me.
I said I probably
notice.
did. I just didn't. I couldn't point out when it happened or where. I think I just
mentioned this to people, and they were like, "Huh?" And they were like, "Well, of course he's doing a voice because he is British." And I was like, "No, that's not what I mean.
Accents.
That's not what I mean." Like 1 second he's doing New York, 1 second he's doing Batman, and I just was getting so confused. But
he's supposed to be Swiss. He even says he's Swiss, but he's probably been here for 100 and some years.
Yes,
so.
But if I can look past the weird, inconsistent voice thing, I found him extremely sympathetic and sweet.
Definitely.
I was like,
he's supposed to be, I think.
He is in
the book, too. He only starts killing hoes because his dad's an asshole.
I like his motivation for starting to kill hoes in this movie, too. He is completely nonviolent. He's not pushing himself on her. He's very timid and shy until he sees someone harming her and
then
trying
he bashes their skull
assault her, and that is what motivates the violence, which I don't think the movie is like pro kicking in, beating the shit out of someone's face, but I think it is justified. I mean, self-defense here was justified, and the fact that he's protecting his woman, I was like, okay, that's really sweet.
His woman. That's not his woman. All right.
I would say,
what did you learn from the movie at this point? Maybe?
Yeah, I'm also not saying that as in like she is an object.
I was making a joke.
He sees her as his lady, and not in like an object way. Like he wants to protect his gal, his wifey poo.
Interesting to see him as the literary character, because my assumption is he just kept... His goal at the end of the book was to just make the rest of Dr. Frankenstein's life miserable. Mm-hmm. And he does that. And so I'm kind of like this as a more softened Frank after he ruined this guy's life and he finally died. He was like, now what?
I think he's very softened, and he doesn't know how to exist in the world around him that judges the shit out of him for being ugly and a monster.
Yeah. Which is what happens in the book too. But Frank wouldn't make him a partner. Dr. Frankenstein wouldn't make him a partner. Mm-hmm. And so maybe for a while he did try to go off and live and learn to live lonely, and then found this new doctor that could do it.
Because I think it's been over 100 years. In that long of a period of time, you're gonna be lonely, and you're gonna probably think nonstop about the need for companionship.
He was already lonely after a couple of years in the book, so...
Yeah, so 100.
So I really like that, though. I think that's an interesting way to, like, adapt the literary character. The actual... It's like...
And I think his performance makes you feel sympathetic for him and his loneliness.
Yep.
And I guess my last question before we talk more in depth about themes... How did you feel about the dance sequences? Did you like them?
Why would I not like them? Oh, that was also a moment where I felt like they were in the literary world and Mary Shelley had taken over because everyone was possessed in that moment. And like she kind of forced their escape in that moment by having the dance scene. It was silly.
It was giving Thriller, but to put in on the Ritz.
I didn't mind it. It just, I think that was kind of one of those moments letting you in on the joke of like, this is literature. We are seeing inside the book.
Okay.
Is my
I
thought.
see it.
Yeah.
Even without that interpretation, I was like, I love how campy and silly this is.
Yeah, everyone just breaking into dance. Fun. Yeah. It also could just be in their heads. This is how they're imagining it. So, yeah. Okay, themes.
Yeah.
I'm so pumped to talk about themes because I want to talk about why I thought the themes were so complex and then where I thought they faltered.
Yeah.
If you don't mind. Okay, I'm going to be talking about feminism and misogyny and patriarchy once again. And what I noticed, I wrote notes down, is that I think we too often in the social media era look at like feminism and misogyny and, you know, the patriarchy as a men bad lens. And I'm pulling a not all men right now. My point is that I think it's much more complex than that, and that the patriarchy hurts everybody, not just women. It hurts men as well. And men force themselves and perpetuate misogyny and this and get hurt by it. So Frank is that character, is someone that is hurt by it and also pushes it throughout. It isn't until he realizes he can go against it, and he does throughout the film go against, you know, patriarchy and doesn't enable it, that he is able to like be happy and get what he wants. And then he gets shot in the head.
Yeah.
But my point is like, he lets her drive. I love that. She's always driving. He's not fitting the normal like gendered roles of the time, other than being like, this is my bride. I own her. He accepts. They could have gone a completely different route with this, where when she says, I'd prefer not to get married, where he could have gotten angry. But no, he laughs his ass off. He thinks it's funny because he's like, she says, I'm not your bride. I'm not anybody's bride. I'm just like the bride. But that doesn't mean she's rejecting him. She just is, I'm my own person. I fucking love that. And like, so, and by him, again, accepting that, he is dismantling this patriarchy, and he can truly not be hurt by it anymore either, other than gangsters who can shoot him in the head.
I just love that she had the agency to choose, and the fact that she still chooses him because he's the one person now at this point not forcing her into anything.
Exactly. And so that gets to my next point, which is, I say that men are also hurt by the patriarchy. Women also perpetuate the patriarchy in many ways. And so men obviously do. And my point on that was, I think that Mary Shelley is that example in this. By taking this woman over, she's forcing her to be what she wants to be. I do think her long-term goal is for her to find her own name. But for a while, is not giving this woman agency. Everyone's pulling her in this direction. So I think she herself is, you know, making this situation worse, which I think in real life we have that as well with women who are, you know, falling into these traps. I would say.
For example, like women vote against the rights of other women in like just a very, very small way in which women.
Yes. Women being ladder pullers, women, you know, just diving into the same, how do I even put it? The same just norms and everything. So I was like, oh, hell yeah.
And like forcing gender norms on other people.
And I think my other note was, just basically when she finally has agency, Frank accepts it and breaks this whole thing. And it's fucking cool. Where I think it doesn't work is when we get into these moments where we do men bad, new wave feminism again. I'm going to call it new wave feminism, which is social media feminism, where they do like men bad. And I'm just like, guys, like you had this really complex, realistic theme.
Give an example of men bad.
I think it happened with the detectives a lot. I also kind of felt when we started getting into the copycat killers, it kind of felt that way as well. Not her rant, maybe a little bit of her like rant, although I loved her speech.
Her rant was really heavy-handed.
It started to feel like Barbie feminism a little bit.
Yeah, because it was so heavy-handed.
Yes.
Like I never want a speech that's telling me the theme.
Yeah. And I don't know if hers does exactly, but there's just these moments. I think him like giving up the badge to her, even though I still like it, is like one of those moments.
Cheesy, and I hated it.
But where it does work for me is when all the cops blow them away, and it's like, oh, we're making cops like idiots again and men like idiots again. Good, we should be, because cops are idiots, and they should be portrayed as idiots in film. So that was what I had felt. I'm sure there's other moments that I had that I was like, just like you're taking a step backwards on the more complex theme into a more black and white theme, and that bothered me.
Yes.
So,
yes.
I'm doing a not all men, even me. That's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Any thoughts? So I've been so pumped to talk about this. So I
think it was well put.
Well, thank you. As a man, I'd be talking for women. You know, I'm perpetuating misogyny right now.
Okay, one thing that I do find really interesting. It's almost funny. Mary Shelley's like, these people try and put on me what they want, and I want to finish my story. This is my voice, but it's actually Maggie Gyllenhaal putting Mary Shelley's voice on her.
Yeah,
it's just another woman
it's kind of
saying
complex.
This is what this woman's voice is.
Mary Shelley lived many years and wrote other things. She could have written more Frankenstein if she wanted. But I saw that more as it's about how her story has been bastardized in so many ways.
So then Maggie's continuing to bastardize it. But I'm not shitting on that. I just think it's funny.
It's funny. My thing is, I think she's bastardizing it in a way that is more true to the original novel.
I think it is
than any of the other ones.
I think it is so bastardized that it comes full circle.
Okay. So there was an effort. My point is, I like the idea of bastardizing this as a separate continuation of the novel. That's so interesting. Yeah. And as I said before, I think at least the explicit themes about like womanhood and patriarchy are used mostly well in this movie, or at least well intentioned, which I think fits some of the themes of the book. The original book's full of way more themes than just that, but that is something that's all over it.
I just like that we actually got the theming about women and agency and gender norms in society, since we skipped over that entirely in the last film that we got about these characters.
I agreed. And as I said before, they did a good job with it for the most part.
And I have to add, too, in the Bride of Frankenstein movie, which you didn't see, the bride's alive for 5 minutes. To be fair, she does reject the monster. Yeah. She looks at him and starts screaming. And I was like, that's so fucking funny. But she didn't really say anything besides scream. And she's alive for 5 minutes. And then Frank is like, we don't deserve to be alive, and then kills them. That's how it ends. But I think the fact that this takes this character that even in the sequel didn't have any real agency. She rejects him. That's some agency. But then she's still killed.
She rejects him at the end of this movie too. But not exactly. She rejects the ownership.
The fact that she rejects that ownership, gets to choose, and then is brought back to life to have this experience with him again the way that she deserves, hopefully, is beautiful. I loved that. Also, like we talked about the theming of how this is just a love letter to cinema and the community that is art and enjoying art together.
Yeah.
Do we have more themes we wanted to talk about?
No, I think those are the two
biggest.
Those are the two big ones. I'm sure I have other thoughts that I'm going to, after we get off, I'll remember. So
I know I had a lot of thoughts, and I feel like this movie just does so much. It's hard to be concise about them. So some of them might have ran out of my brain.
I think we hit it. The mob is like a big part of it as well. And they are, in my mind, in this, the police and the mob are two sides of the same coin of the patriarchy in this movie. And so to have the women rise up and go and cut this dude's tongue out and go get revenge. Yeah, brother. Oh, obviously cutting tongue out is about women need to be silent and silencing women.
They've been silencing women. So women
are rising up.
Rising up to silence this man.
Yeah. And I like that.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I think it works really well. And it's cool to see our Gil Coulson, a.k.a. Whatever his name was, Wiles, be a part of that. They go get his ass. I call him Gil Coulson because that was his name in the Batman.
Yeah. What's your biggest hot take about this movie? Is it just that this is really good?
It's probably... You know what? Oh, my hot take, everyone's going to get so mad that I think it's the most thematically close adaptation of Frankenstein that has been put to film.
Well, you haven't seen all of them. But
yeah, but I just know that... I know that the old ones, while are good, are really not the book.
Yeah.
And this one is interesting because it is I'm not remaking the book. Like I said before, it is a sequel to the book, which is hilarious. It's like a meta sequel to the book, but whatever. And it's better than GDT's. That's easy to say.
Yeah, my hot take, warm take, I guess, because some people agree, is that this is much better than GDT's and a much more interesting direction.
My hot take is that this is the best movie I've seen that has come out in 2026.
That's extra hot. That's real.
That's not surprising. Hot. You've seen my ratings.
Well, I saw Project Hail Mary, so...
Oh, facts. I didn't see that. Okay. Anything else you want to say? Either way, I think go see this. Like, I had so much fun. I think maybe people are... I don't know. I think they're judging it too harshly, is what I'm saying.
I just think you need to... let Jesus take the wheel and just like...
let Maggie take the wheel.
Let Maggie take the wheel. Let Mary take the wheel. And just give yourself over to what the movie's doing and you'll have fun. I
think so. All right, you want to rate it?
Yes.
I'm giving this a stunning 9 out of 10. Which I know is so much higher. I gave it 4.5 on Letterboxd. Again, Lord I believe there's a 5 in here somewhere. I know you're lower. Give it the one you gave it. What are you rating it?
Well... what I give it on Letterboxd isn't necessarily what I'd give it out of 10.
Right. That doesn't make any sense, but okay.
Because that's out of 5.
Yeah, so you have half
decimals
stars.
And stuff.
Oh, okay.
So like a 3.5, which is what I gave it on Letterboxd, is a 7 out of 10, but it doesn't mean I can't be like a 7.2.
Okay. Go ahead.
7.25.
Okay. That's good.
I had a lot of fun.
That was my thing, is I think I was just like smiling throughout. And it's just a nice movie.
I think that's valid.
Yeah, and it's good looking. I'm starved for movies that look like movies.
Where would you put it on the Dalton endorsement scale?
I have it a +5 on the Dalton endorsement scale.
Oh my god!
I really want people to watch this, even for its flaws. We should like movies with flaws.
Well, because I think people are just so used to a movie that's everyone sees them as black and white anymore. Either like I loved it or I hated it, and I feel like people really struggle to be like, well, I liked these elements of it, but not these elements of it. Like, I feel like when you have a conversation, people are like, I hate this, and this.
I'm falling into the social media thing of being like, oh, I loved it, but I did really enjoy it.
And just like with other movies we've covered so far this year, you weren't allowing much room for nuance for some of those either. On the negative end.
But I was right about those.
No,
and everyone else was wrong.
But you weren't.
It's the children who are wrong.
I had the nuance and you didn't. And like, that's fine. Like, we're all going to have different moments where that's how we see the world. But I think a lot of people do that far too often and miss movies that have amazing bits and pieces because they're judging it as a black and white thing when it's not that. No art is just black and white unless it's just a black background.
What
unless you just painted the wall black.
That was very astute of you. Yeah. Okay.
Quick this or that of Universal Monsters.
Sure.
Okay. We already said the answer to this. The Bride or GDT's Frankenstein?
The Bride.
The Bride.
Exclamation point.
Or Young Frankenstein?
The Bride.
The Bride or Bram Stoker's Dracula?
Oh, no. Wait, they're so similar. I want to say The Bride right now, but recency bias.
Okay. The Bride or The Invisible Man?
The Bride. The Invisible Man's like good. I like it a lot. But it's sterile compared to this.
The Bride or The Shape of Water?
You gotta give it to The Shape of Water. Where's The Bride or The Mummy? Come on, Brendan Fraser. Because I'd give it to The Mummy over that.
Does not count.
Are you ready? The Bride or GDT?
The Bride.
The Bride or Bride of Frankenstein?
The Bride.
The Bride or Wolfman?
The Bride. Wolfman.
The Bride or Bram Stoker's Dracula? The movie, Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Okay, so we all know how I felt about that movie, but I feel like they're probably actually pretty equivalent.
Whoa.
But I had more fun watching The Bride, so The Bride.
The Bride or The Invisible Man?
The Invisible Man, probably?
Yeah. Reasonable.
You skipped Young Frankenstein. I have seen the musical.
Oh, The Bride or The Young Frankenstein musical?
Tied.
All right, The Bride or The Invisible Man? You already said that. The Bride or The Shape of Water?
The Shape of Water.
Yeah, good picks. You didn't give your Dalton endorsement scale.
3.
Only a +3? Are you out of your mind?
Simmer down.
That's crazy.
It's a 3.
All right.
I really liked it.
Okay. I usually never get mad about these, but that one I'm mad about.
I think that's crazy to be mad. You gave something a -5 like 2 weeks ago. Okay.
Yep. I was right about that one, though. You're wrong about this. That's what I keep saying this episode.
Absolutely
Okay.
not.
Are you ready to be done?
I'm ready.
All right. I've been Matt Hannah.
I'm Hannah.
This has been Horror Hour and 3 Minutes with the Hannahs. Stay tuned and stay scared.
Thank you for listening to Horror Hour with the Hannahs. Make sure to listen to future episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever else you can find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube, where we post episodes and shorts. You can follow us at Horror Hour with the Hannahs on TikTok and Instagram, as well as at Horror Hour on Blue Sky for more content. If you like the podcast, please follow and leave a review on your favorite podcasting app. Happy hauntings!